Hello, welcome back or welcome if you're new. Today I have a currently inked video. It's the first one that I'm filming and I am nervous and excited to get into it. So let's just get started. I tend to carry over pens from month to month because I ink so many of them because I just like options even though I have favorites. And this first pen is a carryover from November. It is a TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR Prussian Blue. It has a broad nib, and I am just going to start off labeling my page. And this pen is still inked with Diamine Celedon Cat. I re-inked it the end of November because I just love writing with it so much. I just love this ink. I had it in a different pen with a stub nib, and I don't know if it was the pen or a combination with the ink, but it was not a good experience. But I figured, well, a broad nib should be nice and juicy and bigger. You know, it's different than a stub. So this has been awesome. I love this ink. I'm so glad because I love the swatch and I just wanted to be able to use it in a pen that, that really showed off the ink. And this has totally been a winner and I have been loving it. But I am going to write it dry and then change to maybe a different pen and ink combination. I'm going to try and just get through pens and not add anything new until January, but I may be impatient. But for now, this is my TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR Impression Blue inked with Diamine Celedon Cat. Next up is my TWSBI Eco. It's got a broad nib. The color is indigo bronze, and I have got this pen inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Shin Kai. And again, I love TWSBI's broad nibs. I just like broad nibs. The whole joy for me of using fountain pens is the different inks and the different properties and getting to see that when I write. It just makes me want to write. Just write whatever, which is why I ink so many pens and just got pens all around me. So this one has really been great. I swatched the ink in my Hobonichi when I do my daily journaling, and it's so pretty. It has qualities that I didn't even know it had, which you don't always see everything when you write because, it's a very small sample. But when you splash it out on the page, you really see everything. But I do enjoy, like I said, a broader nib, a wetter nib, so I can just see as much as I can. And it's such an enjoyable experience. So this is my TWSBI Eco in Indigo Bronze, inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Shin Kai. This TWSBI, also in Eco, in the color Heat, is inked with Robert Oster's Peach. This is a carryover from November, as is the Indigo Bronze TWSBI and the first one as well. I love a TWSBI stub nib. I love TWSBIs. I love the way they write. There are some, who've had poor experiences, I'll say, with the integrity of the plastic, but that hasn't been my experience. Knock on wood. It's been all good for me, and I just love the consistency of these pens right out of the box, which is why I seem to be collecting them. This has been lovely. I love Robert Oster inks, and I love it in this pen, and I just love stub nibs because I get mm, a little bit more personality to the writing because I do lettering also, and I just like to be able to have more line variation, and a stub will do that for you. So there is my TWSBI Eco Heat with a stub nib inked with Robert Oster Peach. And yet another TWSBI transparent purple. It has an extra fine nib. I ordered it by mistake, but I said that's okay. Sometimes you need a fine line. And this TWSBI is inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. I think I got it right. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's very close if I'm wrong. Anyway, this is a totally different experience than what it is in another pen that I had inked this month because of the nib. The nib just changed everything. And I love the color. I love purples. I love purples. I love blurples, a nice blue, and teals, turquoises. All those colors like that are just my absolute favorites. So this has been a very consistent writer. It's a very fine nib, finer than I prefer, but it's not scratchy. But it is different than writing with a broad nib, which I have to say, I love my broads. Medium is really the smallest I prefer to go, and I love my stubs. But this has been good. I love the color, and it's a carryover from last month because the ink just doesn't run out as quickly in an extra fine nib as it does in a broad. So there we go. The TWSBI Eco Transparent Purple inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. And another TWSBI. This one is also a newer TWSBI. It is the Eco with a broad nib. The color is Rosso, and it's inked with, I hope it's not a spoiler, Diamine Inkvent Tinsel. It's this year's Diamine Inkvent, and I love this. It is red. It's not super bold or bright. It's a little bit more on the muted side. I think that's because the shimmer kind of tones it down a bit. But I love it. It's very flashy. And I don't usually go for inks that are flashy that way, but this has been fun. And I've been enjoying writing in it with it. Mostly in my Hobonichi, but I do my swatches in a brain fart. Oy vey. I seriously have gone completely blank. Stalogy. Wow. My head is all over the place. I'm thinking ink. Anita, what notebook is that? Yes, I do my swatching in Stalogy, and it handles inks pretty well. There's some ghosting. It doesn't really bleed through, I wouldn't say. And most of my nibs are, pretty wet. I don't have a problem with bleed through, like I said. So this has been good. This is Diamine Inkvent 2023 in Tinsel in my TWSBI Eco Rosso with a broad nib. Now this pen also has that purple Pilot Iroshizuku ink in it. This is a Jinhao 9019 Dadao. It's clear demonstrator with a medium nib, and this is a nice wet writer. I have found with Jinhaos, you may have to work on the nibs a little bit because they're not always smooth writers out of the proverbial box. They don't always come in the box. Sometimes they're just bubble wrapped. But if you get a good one, it's good. If you don't, usually you can work on it a little bit and get it to flow better, flow a little wetter, write a little smoother. And I don't feel bad playing with it. I have a lot of Chinese pens because I wanted something that I could first figure out what I liked, and then second, not feel bad if I want to figure out how fountain pens work and how to make them work better. And if you only have $3, $4, or $5 invested in a pen, you don't feel bad if you play with it and it works, or if it doesn't work. It's like, well, at least it's not a, a 50, 100, 300, $500 pen. This is just a little something. So it's been lovely writing with it. No skipping, no hard starts. In my Jinhao 9019, inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. Now this is my Lamy All-Star with a medium nib in blue green. and it is inked with another Diamine Inkvent 2023 color. The color is Velvet Emerald, and I love this color. It's so pretty. It's bluish green, like I guess teal, and it's a nice smooth rider. And this medium nib is not quite as juicy. It's a little bit broader of a rider than the Jinhao, which is fine as long as it's not a extra fine nib. I can work with it. I'm just not a huge fan of those very fine nibs. I write big. That's probably got a lot to do with it. So, anywho, this one, like I said, is a very good rider. It's nice and consistent, no skipping, no hard starts. I picked it up pre-loved and I like it. It has been a good experience, as they say. My Lamy All-Star, blue-green in color, a medium nib, and it's inked with Diamine Inkvent 2023 Velvet Emerald. Moving right along, next batch of pens is my Kaweco Sport. It's got a medium nib. The color is maroon, and it is inked with another Diamine Inkvent color. I'm pretty sure this one's not a spoiler. It's Bah Humbug. I love this color too. It's a nice, deep, rich burgundy color. I think it's a standard ink. There's no special properties. It does shade a little bit, which I am so cool with that. And it's been a good writer in this pen. And the Kaweco medium nib writes about the same as the Lamy All-Star that I just showed you all. And it's been a good experience. I like fatter pens that are free flowing with the ink, but I do like to switch it up now and then with a smaller pen with just a normal, I'll call it normal that I like ink flow, not super wet, but not dry at all. And this pen totally fits the bill for that. And I just wanted to use something different. I don't usually go for this color. I don't usually go for a medium nib. I really do like broad nibs, but that's okay. Like I said, I've totally enjoyed this. And yeah, but once it's dry, I'm moving on. I don't think I'll be re-inking this pen. I'm going to let it go, and it's been good, and we will just keep it moving on down the line. My Kaweco Sport medium nib in maroon with Diamine Inkvent 2023's Bah Humbug. Next up is my Pilot E95S. This is my only gold nib pen, and can I just say, I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I love this pen. And gold nibs hit different. At least the Pilots do. I haven't had another brand, but definitely it feels different than stainless steel, which is what all the others are. Sometimes they have extra metal added, like for the tipping, but I love this pen. And it has stayed inked since I got it. I've had it about 2 or 3 months. Anyway, it is inked with Diamine Espresso. It's got a medium nib. The ink is a brown color. Not the most exciting ink, but oh my gosh, I love the way this pen writes. So yeah, I have got to figure out which pen I will be purchasing next with a gold nib because honestly, it will probably be a Pilot or a Pelican. I don't have any Pelicans yet because I love this pen. Up next is my Esterbrook Estie with a medium nib in the color Punch. And this is a carryover from last month. Just checking that ink level. This pen has stayed inked since I got it. It's currently inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Yama Budo. And honestly, I think I'm going to change pens. I love the way this pen writes. It's so smooth and nice out of the box. Both Estes that I have stayed inked since I've gotten them. But I'm ready to move along from this one, and I know it's because of the color. I love the other pen, the color much more than this, but I still like this, or I wouldn't have gotten it. But this has been a very, very good writer. Smooth, nice flowing, no hard starts, no skipping. Just, it's all sunshine and butterflies with this pen and ink pairing. It is just, it's wonderful. It is my Esterbrook Estie with a medium nib, color punch, and it's inked with Pilot Iroshizuku Yama Budo. Oh, so nice, right out of the box. I can't recommend that enough. And my other Estie, it is in the color Sea Glass. This was my first, and I was just like, wow, this is really nice. It really does make a difference when you spend a little bit more on a pen. And I'm sure, at least my logical mind tells me, it's because of quality control. Depends on the brand. Anywho, this pen is wonderful. Right out of the box, I loved it. It has been inked constantly since spring of this year, 2023. Currently inked with Wearingeul Wayfarer. I love this color. The other ink I've had in this pen is Diamine's Marine, and I like that one a little bit better because it's a little wetter. But both colors are similar, but I think I'm going to get a bottle of Marine because I really like that too, and I've already got a bottle of Wayfarer, and it's awesome in this pen with a medium nib, and this one's going to stay inked because I love it. Now, my fun pens, and I say that because these are the pens that are super affordable, and I don't mind leaving them laying around, and I'm not worried about what happens to them because I didn't spend a great fortune to get them, and they're not precious. But I just love writing with fountain pens, and the way people have gel pens or ballpoint pens around. I have fountain pens around me, and I have the other pens too for decoys so that no one bothers my stuff. But if they pick up these, it's okay. I forgot to film myself. I forgot to turn on the camera, and I apologize. The three pens you see to the left are all Jinhao 82s, all with medium nibs. The clear demonstrator is a Pilot Kakuno, and the ivory colored pen is a Pilot Prera. And I realized I realized last month I really like Pilots. I get a very consistent experience with Pilot pens, even though their nibs aren't quite as broad as Western nibs. I love those pens. They're so consistent. So anyway, those are all inked up and they're ready to go. So if I need to make a quick note or whatever, those are what I go to. And when I do journaling and working in my planners, I use typically the other pens that were in the pen holders. So let's see. Again, a little bit closer so you can see these swatches a little better. I've got to do better. This is my first currently inked, and I just want to say thank you for sticking around and hope you enjoyed it. See you next month.